Sick of people at ESPN or Sports Center who think they have their heads on their shoulders, but they really don't? Well, it's time for the Jimmy the K Sports Show. We're going to give you the most urgent sports news. We're live and edited and coming to you now. The Jimmy the K Sports Show, sponsored by the All About Sports Zone page. Hey there, it's me, Jimmy the K, coming at you live here this Tuesday, January. Now, how January? January was a few months ago. July 14th, 2015. I am your host, Jimmy the K. You know me each and every Tuesday, and I know that you could have been anywhere as of right now. The Major League All-Star Game is about to get underway, and you could be sitting there getting ready to watch that and listening to me on the other side of the room going, why in the world is he not watching the game? Well, guess what? I will be, because this show will be abbreviated. It will be an abbreviated show, a show in which we come out swinging quite well and quite quickly. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and start off with some of the most important sports news that we've had from the last week. Starting off with day number 1. Well, last week, I was all excited as the Dallas Mavericks would have gotten DeAndre Jordan to a 4-year, nice $80 million deal. But instead, what happens is he backs down because he doesn't want to be a playmaker. He doesn't want to be a star of a team. He wants to be the third wheel on an NBA team. Third wheel, what does that mean? The guy who's behind Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. The third wheel. With that being said, congratulations on backing out of a good deal. Good luck being a third wheel. I understand your decision. It happens. With that being said, the Dallas Mavericks, after the release of the Brooklyn Nets, Deron Williams is underway of signing a 2-year, around $10 million deal to sign with the Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban. He's happy to be going to the Dallas Mavericks, where he'll continue to shine as an athlete with Dirk Nowitzki and players like that. The Mavericks are also apparently, allegedly, can you say allegedly on a sports show? You can today. Allegedly going after JaVale McGee. Will they get him? Well, we'll find out and see. Do we know? I don't know. But, hey, the Mavericks are going to go out. They're going to make some good trades. They're going to make some good things. After the whole DeAndre Jordan fiasco, not answering his phone calls from Mark Cuban, he publicly come out with an apology to the Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban. And, you know, while I am all for apologizing and forgiving people, I think the forgiveness will happen on the court when the Mavericks crush your team, the LA Clippers. Because honestly, you know, if Griffin's hurt and Paul's hurt, you're the third wheel on the team and you're amount to nothing, all right? With the Dallas Mavericks, he would have had a chance. Plain and simple as that. But, hey, let's let the apology speak for itself during the season. Until then, I'm keeping my mouth shut because I do not like to eat crow. Last week, I was the first one to let you know that Neftali Felice was being released by the Texas Rangers. I was first and foremost on all the sports avenues to let you know this. Why? Because I am the number one sports show on the web. Well, you're going to be the first to know this, that the Tigers are in attempts and have, not just attempted, but have signed Neftali Felice to their organization. Again, I have said this through many, many times in avenues. I said this last week. Sometimes what you need as a player is a change of atmosphere. And in Neftali Felice's case, I feel like a change of atmosphere will be just fine for him, and he'll go to the Detroit Tigers and light them up from there. Elvis Andrus is another example. Elvis Andrus, can he go out and still perform? His numbers continue to fall. If they were to trade his contract to somebody else, I could see a change of scenery possibly being good for him. Along with Shin Soo Choo, a change of scenery could quite well help him out in that case. With that being said, congratulations to Nefty Felice. We'll see you later on, hopefully in the playoffs, my friend. Love, the Texas Rangers. La 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 la. Wow. Here's the story that I want to get in depth in. It's probably going to take a few minutes, so sit back, relax, uh, grab a cup of Joe, whatever you need to do. Just grab something, sit back and relax, and listen to this segment. The segment's going to be informal or information-wise for you. It's going to help you out as a sports fan. Kanter signed a 4-year, $70 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks, with the Oklahoma City Thunder. See, I was talking about the Mavericks, then I went to the Thunder. Pretty smart, huh? Not really. And a lot of people are in uproars. They, Oklahoma media is trying to put this into perspective as to say, hey, here's a deal. Here's a deal for you. We didn't sign James Harden, but we signed him to a 4-year, $70 million deal. Why did we do that? I'll tell you why. Because the salary cap is much lower now. 2, Kanter is the type of player that Durant could be built around. A center he could be built around. There are not very many elite 7-footers as far as center-wise goes in the NBA anymore. They're just hard to come by. So with that being said, why did the Thunder sign him? 1, because the salary cap is much different. 2, because the Thunder see him as being a player that they can build around. They can give him points in the paint. And it also helps their recruiting of Kevin Durant. Somebody goes, how is that when, many people want to argue the fact that more than half the teams in the NBA will be after his services. That's very well true, but only a handful of them can afford him. The Dallas Mavericks don't have a center that he can play around. The Los Angeles Lakers have been rumored. They don't have a center that he can be built around. The Washington Wizards, they're a low-dwelling team, or a cellar-dweller team, that doesn't have a center to be built around. Kanter is that center that they can say, hey, we signed the guy for you to be built around, for you to help get points in the paint, help you scoring, help you get a championship to the Oklahoma City area. And with that, I feel very confident that this deal will be equivalent to that of what James Harden deal would have been. So, with that being said, Kevin Durant's going to be built around, and it's Kanter. Very smart deal by the Oklahoma City Thunder to match the offer, retain him, and have a player that can play well enough for points in the paint. Moving on to the next story. The next story ought to make you stain your pants, man, I say. maybe you're not a Cowboys fan. I grew up in DFW, so I'm somewhat of a Cowboys fan, but, my ties are to the Denver Broncos. But both teams, this is what freaks me out. Both teams and the NFL's Players Union has said, and I quote, they will pursue collusion charges if Dez Bryant does not sign with the Cowboys and if Demaryius Thomas doesn't sign with the Denver Broncos. With that being said, who's the loser in this deal if this happens? The loser in this deal is going to be the Dallas Cowboys, because basically they're forcing the Cowboys' hands to sign Dez Bryant. Okay? You don't sign Dez Bryant, we're going to pursue these charges. You're going to lose draft picks. You're going to lose players. You're going to lose big-time numbers as far as being America's team. And things are going to start to happen. Here's what I have to say about the Dez Bryant deal, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet because honestly, I don't want to get too much into it this evening. If he still ain't signed next week, then we'll get more and more into detail as the NFL season gets closer and closer. My honest opinion is, you've got a player, Dez Bryant, a team, the Dallas Cowboys, who don't want to pay Dez Bryant a guaranteed $30 to $40 million a year. That's what he's asking for. Guaranteed right now, he could sign a 1-year, $13.5 million deal. That's a franchise tag. But instead, he wants a $20, $30, $40 million deal. And my thoughts on this are, if you want to sit out, fine. You want to sit out the whole NFL season, be our guest. We will just prove to you that this football team does not revolve around you, and that we can make the playoffs without you. And when we do, and you start coming and say, hey, I want to be included in these playoff games, please, please, please. We're playing so well. You can laugh at him and say, nope, nice try. Because that's one thing that could happen. Or two, the other thing that could happen is Dez Bryant sits out the whole season, not getting his contract, only hurting his chances of ever playing in an NFL team again. Because NFL teams don't want players like him. They don't want TOs. They don't want crybabies. They want people that say, hey, it's all about me. I'm the man. I'm the one that got you to the playoffs. Without me, you're nothing. Incorrect. This is a team sport. Take the rest of the guys off the field, Mr. Dez Bryant, if you think you're Mr. Number One, and throw the pass to yourself. Run the ball yourself against another team's defensive size group. Make the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. And until then, we can talk. Until then, pipe down and stop asking for guaranteed money that's you're not worth. Because you are not worth no $30 to $40 million deal. Period. End of discussion. Our last story I want to look at tonight is quite interesting in a way. The Houston Astros have been rumored to be looking into a Johnny Cueto deal that would get him sent to the Astros from the Cincinnati Reds. This is all I'm going to say, guys. I'm a Rangers fan, but if the Astros pull this Johnny Cueto deal off, all bets are off. The Astros win the AL West, hands down, end of discussion. Period. With that being said, I did promise an abbreviated show tonight due to the fact of the All-Star game being on. Speaking of All-Star game, I want to tip my hats to the Cincinnati Reds, Todd Frazier, in winning the Home Run Derby last night. Congratulations to him, being the hometown kid, the hometown player, winning the Home Run Derby. And until next week, I am your host, Jimmy the K. You know the 3 simple ways to get a hold of me. Facebook.com/allaboutsportszone. Twitter at Jimmy Kersey1. And last but not least, allaboutsportszone@gmail.com. Questions, concerns, comments, topics for the show. Feel free to send them to me. I'm your host, Jimmy the K. Until next Tuesday, July 22nd, I'm your host, Jimmy the K. Here's my fight song. Peace out.